Good afternoon and welcome to the National Urban League's Digital Career Success Series, brought to you by the Urban League's Job Network. My name is Jody Brockington and I am today's host for this great topic of women in tech. I don't know if everyone on the call today and in this webinar has really heard enough. I mean, there's all these articles going on about there's not enough women in tech, there's not enough women of color in tech, there's not enough blacks in tech. And we wanted to bring that topic to you because tech is everywhere in our careers, whether or not you are a techie and you are an engineer and you're working on coding and the back end and HTML and AI and maybe some stuff I've just mentioned, you have no idea what I'm saying. You don't have to be on the tech side. Our lives are infused with technology. So we felt that it was important to talk about where technology is in our careers, but specifically since this is Women's History Month, where women are in tech, and even more specifically, women of color. Today we bring you Jumoke Dada, who I had the pleasure of meeting many years ago. I don't even know how long ago this is now, but at one of the very first Digital Undivided Focus 100 events where we were mentoring and helping young women in tech, specifically women of color in tech, giving them advice, career advice. And I had the fortunate opportunity to meet Jumoke while she was really just starting her idea of some of the businesses that have now come to fruition. And so it's great to have seen her career kind of take off. She was just visualizing what Signature Red would be. But it was clear that technology was one of her main kind of skill sets, but also clear that it wasn't something that she had to personally do, and knew that it was, she could open up doors for other people. And today she's gonna kind of share her story about how her career ended up so focused on tech, and how she can make sure that more of you who are interested in being in tech are in it already, but want to do more and help others find their pathway in their career to success like hers. Jumoke, I would love for you to join the conversation, take it over and tell us your story, and then we'll bring everyone back for Q&A. Please remember to send in your questions and we will have them answered at the end. So thank you for joining us today.
Excellent. Thanks for having me, Jody. I do consider it an honor to just be here and share my story and what I know, where I've been, where I'm going with the National Urban League Young Professionals. So thank you. I also want to just say that I start from college because that was just such a pivotal time for me. I share that I started when I was 16, so I was just really in a space where I was just trying to figure everything out, figure out what I wanted to do for the rest of my life and things like that. So it was pivotal, and I went through a space where I was just trying to determine what I should major in, quite frankly. And prior to college, I'd always been more into the arts and music and entertainment, and I thought I would do something in that line or law, quite frankly. But what happened is that while I think it was my sophomore or junior year, I did an internship in New York at a magazine. And when I came back to school after that semester, I just realized that I probably should do something else. And I started looking at my coursework, my classes, and just started paying attention to what I seemed to be strong in. And it turned out to be my math and science classes. So I started, just going through that stage of just, okay, well, what do I do? Do I do engineering? Do I do medicine? Do I do something else? And long story short, I knew I didn't want anything to do with medicine, and I ended up going into computer information science. So right before I graduated, I accepted a position as an application developer. So I worked at a company straight out of college. I was on a small team where we developed a call tracking system that technologists were using just to manage in-house issues for whether it was for executives or clients or in-house employees. So after a couple of years in that role, the size of the team changed, and I ended up being the main lead developer. So that was maybe 3 years out of college. So there I was developing this application, and I did that for some time. And then when I started getting pulled into more meetings with the business area, I realized that I enjoyed that piece. I enjoyed not doing the coding as much, but really just helping the business areas identify what they needed and translating that to to code or to other technical teams. So after that role, I moved into a business systems analyst. I left the company and moved into a business systems analyst where I was more of a liaison, business. I wrote business requirements, technical requirements. I did dabble in some technical coding as needed, but for the most part, I served as a liaison. So I worked in that space for about 4 years, I believe. Then that company had a massive layoff, and they offered retirement packages and things like that. And so I was part of that layoff. And when that happened, I just remembered just trying to think through what would be next. And long story short, I'm currently in Philadelphia. I thought about moving back to the New York area, and was just trying to land something there. And I just realized I lost my passion for IT and things like that. So I just decided that I was just going to step out on my own. I had gotten my real estate certification, and at the time I had bought a house, and I had referred people to my agent, and I moved into I started doing that, selling real estate on the side, and then launching my business. And when I first launched Signature Red, the focus was working with fellow women entrepreneurs, just really helping them think through what it is that they wanted to do with their business, how to market it, how to get exposure for it. I did some social media management, and I also planned events. So fast forward to 2013, I started hearing a lot about just what was happening with coming down from the Obama administration with opportunities in STEM, like where are the women who code, where are the women in tech, and I just realized that there was a lot of opportunity for women like myself who had STEM backgrounds. So I started making my way back, and someone reached out to me to see if I would be interested in working on a technical project for a major media technology company, and I did accept that opportunity. So I had been managing technical projects for the company as a consultant up until last year. The other thing that happened was in 2013, when I started paying attention to what was coming down the pipe as far as opportunities for women in tech, I bought this domain name, the Tech Women Network, and I bought it after attending a Women in Tech Summit that year, and I was just blown away at how many women came out to the summit, and just the opportunities that were being shared and resources. So I found myself just looking for more of those type of things. I was looking for meetups, I was looking for other conferences, etc. So I bought the Tech Women Network in 2013. I wasn't sure what to do with it up until 2 years ago. So I launched the platform last year. after realizing that people were looking for more women with technical skills. And the light bulb went off when someone asked me to refer them to someone. And I was trying to find find the person on LinkedIn via my connections, but I couldn't remember the person's name, and I couldn't remember where they worked. And I realized that I wasn't able to just do a skill set search. So once I had that aha moment, that's when it clicked. That's what I should build with the Tech Women Network. So that's the story. I launched it last year. It's still in MVP stage, and actually this month is the 1-year anniversary. Okay, would you like me to, okay, if there are no questions. So just moving along, I think I shared, since starting Signature Red, I've definitely had the opportunity to get exposure in multiple media outlets, included what you see here, Ebony, Black Enterprise, More Magazine, Mike. You can see all of it on my website. As I shared also, I launched Signature Red, and since moving back into the tech space, I've been able to create different brands and projects. I mentioned the Tech Women Network as one. Techies Who Brunch is a meetup for techies that want to network with other people in the tech space, as well as practice their communications and networking skills while we enjoy good food. Project Aloe began as a give back initiative while I was working with a lot of women in the tech tech space. I just realized that I wanted to do something for girls, and so every summer I give back by collecting hair supplies, cosmetics, and toiletries, and giving them to girls that are about to enter their freshman year of college. Last year was the very first time I held a Project Aloe specifically for girls interested in STEM careers. It was held in New York. It went really, really well. And this year, we're looking to host another one at this forthcoming summit that you see here. It's called the Hue Tech Summit. It's the very first summit for women of color in the Delaware Valley, which consists of South New Jersey, Pennsylvania, and Delaware. Okay. And next slide, thank you. Okay, so like I shared, I just moved through the corporate space for some time, and now I currently am a consultant. The project that I'm currently working on is with the City of Philadelphia, and I'm managing some of their technical work for the city's street department and some of the deployments that they're working on. So through all of my roles, I've realized that there are a number of transferable skills that can be applied across the board. So I know that some of you guys are interested in moving into tech and breaking in, and you may not be clear on how to do so. But what I would share is that, pay attention to some of the things that you can do. For example, coding is a given. If you can code in a specific language, that's excellent. Another valued skill set is meeting planning and just being able to organize people for projects, or if they're just trying to get ideas off the ground and need to flesh it out. Strategic planning. Project management is also another excellent one. If you're able to just kind of see a project from a very high level and break it down into actionable steps and track them, that's an excellent skill set. Analysis, if you're able to get to the root of an issue and, again, just kind of break down the steps to maybe dive deeper or come up with a solution that's transferable. If you're an excellent writer, That's a skill. There's a lot of technical documentation that needs to be created. There is instruction guides. There's even content for websites and things like that. So there's a lot of skills that you may already have that can be transferred into a career in tech. Okay, and like I shared previously, I launched the Tech Women Network a couple of years ago. Excuse me, I purchased a domain a couple of years ago and launched the MVP last year. So it's a growing network, and it's actually now global. Like, one of the newest members was based in Kenya. So it is still in beta, as I just continue just to work through what women really want, and how best they can use the platform for their needs. So I definitely encourage you to take a look at it. Okay, and next up, breaking into tech. So like I shared with the transferable skills, just take a look at what you do naturally, and what you've been trained to do. Like, are you a problem solver? Can you design? Are you a great communicator? Can you predict what a trend? Pay attention to trends and predict what's coming down the pipe. Are you someone that likes to be hands-on? Do you like to actually work with hardware and build things with your hands? Are you an organizer of people and content? Can you lead projects? Can you manage them? And do you have what type of interest do you have? What is your interest in tech? Is it like the networks? Is it software? Is it hardware? Just really paying attention to those things. And then once you identify them, you'll be able to see that there are a lot of opportunities and ways that you can start your career. So right now, there's so much going on in the tech space, but I just wanted to just give you some information about what's hot. Cybersecurity is pretty big. You guys know, you're watching the news. There's just so much going on in the space, and there's definitely a need for more women in the space, more women of color in the space. So if you have an interest in anything like digital, privacy, things like that, I highly recommend cybersecurity, blockchain technology with all of the hype around cryptocurrencies. If you can specialize in that space, that would be good. Cloud computing, the Amazon Web Services, they offer a number of certifications that you can get, as well as Microsoft and cloud computing. Mobile app development, as we know, we're constantly using apps on our phones. If you can pick up a skill set in the coding space or in the change management or project management or deployment space, that's really good. Agile methodology pertains to a method of managing projects. What was popular, and it's still being used, was a waterfall methodology, where you would plan something from scratch, whereas Agile is that you kind of make smaller updates in a smaller amount of time, and you release it, and then you come back, and then you make another series of updates, etc. So Agile methodology is pretty good for managing projects. So, once you've identified your skills and, what areas of technology you have an interest in, there are tons of resources out there. I'm not sure if you guys are familiar with meetup.com. There is a lot on that platform in regards to tech in your area. Also, be vigilant about identifying like conferences and summits that you can go to, where you can connect with other people in tech and learn a different skill. There's a ton of online learning sites, and I listed some there, Coursera, Udemy. There's a ton of them. And then certifications, again, once you identify what space you want to enter into, just try to get certified in that space, or just go back to school. But there's so many certifications that I definitely recommend going that route. Also, check with your current employer. Just see if they offer any kind of support with going back to school, or maybe they're looking to bring on new technology into the company or the firm, and maybe you can put your hat in the ring to be involved with the project in some capacity. So I would recommend that as well. And again, identify your interests if you're looking to break into tech. Choose a specialization. Understand how you learn best. Get support. It is, you're just going to have times where you just need some support to keep going. So I highly recommend that. As I shared in the previous slide, network, attend meetups, go to conferences and summits. Pay attention to what employers are looking for. So if there is if you know that you want to break into a certain space, take a look at the current job descriptions for roles that they're looking to fill, just so that you can see what skills you'll need to move into that space. And then I definitely recommend just going for it. I'm all for, apply for the jobs that interest you, whether you think you have all the skills or not. I think there was a report, I can't quote the source right now, but there was information about how women tend not to apply for jobs when they don't meet all the criteria, whereas men will. So I'm just all about just going for it. Again, always do your research, and if you're someone that's interested in the startup space and you have an idea that you want to launch, definitely start with research, and research could be something as simple as creating a poll and just asking questions, surveying people. If you have a developer or someone that you can work with this to build a very basic version of your idea, I highly recommend that just to test it out. And then look for ways that you can collaborate with other people as well. And lastly, I just want to share and just invite all of you, as I mentioned, there's so much conversation about women in tech and diversity in tech and tech inclusion. And I just noticed, particularly in my area, the Delaware Valley, that with all of the universities and there's engineering firms and hospitals, all with technology departments, IT departments, etc. I know that there are more, I don't see them as much as I should at different events, etc. But I know that there are a lot more women technologists in the area. And so the goal of this summit is to draw them out. The theme is no more hidden figures, and the goal is to draw out the women of color technologists and technical founders in the tri-state area, so that we can converge and just talk about what's going on in the tech industries. What are the opportunities? Where are we struggling? There's a lot of stories, reports about issues around funding, venture capital. So let's talk about it. So I definitely invite all of you to go to the website. We have an amazing roster of speakers, and it's Friday. Friday's the very last full day of Philly Tech Week. So I thank you. If there are any questions, I'll take them.
Relax. There's lots of questions. There's lots of questions. How are you? You've shared a lot, and so questions are coming in. A lot of people were curious about, you're buying that URL so early and then not, some people feel like, you buy your kids real quick because the name might go away, but how did that really self-actualize? You bought it, you didn't know exactly what it was going to do, and it's developed into different things. So, because I think there's a lot of folks in our audience, and including myself, I own a couple of URLs that I haven't put into action yet, but why, what was that process? Explain that a little bit.
I think this might just be from just starting early, like back in when buying domains was like a thing to do. I'm just wired that way, in that if I have an idea for something, I'll buy the domain. Like same thing happened with Techie Soup Brunch. It just like came to me and I said, oh, Techie Soup Brunch. Let me see if it's like automatic instead of like thinking, you know, let me plan XYZ. The very first thing I always think to is let me check for the domain name. So it's just like an automatic thing. But I use my normal registrar to purchase the domain, and I just, you know, I sit on it, and I've had to let some domains go over the years because I had ideas for them, but I just realized I wasn't going to go in that direction, so I let it go. So it's pretty natural for me. Is everyone clear on how to purchase a domain name, or is that?
I don't know. Maybe you can just talk about that. That's what I mean, the process, because people might not have done it. I think we've all maybe own our name, but you know, business ones and how to search and how you can maybe buy them from someone else.
Yeah. So I think one of the popular ones everyone's probably heard of is GoDaddy. So you just go to GoDaddy.com and you will, I think one of the very first fields is the domain name field. So .com is the usually the popular your .com is like the popular site to try to get. And some other ones have become more popular for companies, etc. But I always start with .com. So you just punch in the URL that you're thinking of, and then it'll come up if it's available or not, and then other variations of it too, like .info, .net, .org, etc. So that's pretty much how you do it. There's also sites like if you're building a website, like maybe Squarespace or Wix or any of those type of sites where you can put together a site relatively easy. They do offer you an option to buy your domain through them as well. I just like to go directly to the registrar. And I don't see any harm. I mean, domains are relatively inexpensive. So if it's something that you're thinking about, but you're not sure of what you're going to do with it, I don't see any harm in just grabbing it.
Yeah, no, sooner the better, because there's some stuff that I'm trying to do now that people own that I'm going to either have to pay them a grip of money because they realize someone wants it, or, you know, it's actually a business within itself, right? So,
yeah, and everyone own their name.
Go ahead.
I definitely recommend, you know, at the very least, own your name.com, you know, if you can't get it. Believe it or not, someone had JumaK for years. Someone owned it. And one day, honestly, I didn't get it until like, I think, was it last year or 2 years ago? One day, I just got the sense. I said, check for your URL, and it was available, and I just grabbed it. But for years, I had been trying to get JumaK.com. I had bought it .me and some other ones. So at the very least, I definitely recommend getting your name. Get your name with everything, not even just anytime something comes up, you know, Twitter or anything new, I always just at least get my name.
So the next question is, you know, there's people who are at different stages of their career in our audience, and some who are, you know, already in tech. Some feel like they're a late bloomer to tech. Some, you know, maybe want to move around or are outside of the industry already. How do you find a mentor in this space? Like, what's the best way to find someone to assist you in your career if you're in it, and in your career if you'd like to get there? You know, if you're not in tech, like, so based on, you gave a really nice list of transferable skills, right? So I'm good at event planning, I'm great at these other things, or I'm a great writer. How do I make that a tech job? And then how do I find people that can help me?
Yeah, there's really no one way to kind of go about it. There's so many factors. You know, there's so many factors with that, like your personality, the personality of the person, the personality and the ability of the person that you want to mentor you, and there's so many ways. Like you can start with maybe where you if it's not a conflict of interest, if you're not I'm concerned about this, then if you're working in a space where you're not in tech but you want to break into it and get into their technical, you know, schedule a lunch with someone that whose career path you admire and want to follow. Try and schedule lunch with them. I think a big thing is just is being able to also offer something. A lot of times
Mhm.
with mentorship, it's kind of just seen as a uh, for the person that needs the mentor, just a take. So I would definitely try to think of a way that you can offer something in exchange, because quite frankly, there are. Let's say you have the skill set of writing, and you're talking to someone that you know does web design or something like that. Maybe you can just offer to just skim their website, the content, and provide any feedback that you have, or take a look at XYZ, or test out XYZ. You definitely just want to offer something, and take the personal approach. Unfortunately, I can't give just like one cookie cutter way to find a mentor, but
Well,
ideally
yeah,
you
no, there's no one way. The other way too is, even if you can't actually physically get in front of people, I mean, there's no reason why people can't follow you online. They might not meet you personally, or they're hearing you today. We all, as I call it, have those career professional Oprahs in our lives, right? That we think we'd like to be like, or they're doing something we want to try. So I would definitely take that approach. But I would also say that there's no bad time to get mentored or to ask for advice or help. So it doesn't matter where you are in your career. What I think is definitely, a question, because you jumped into tech yourself, is how do you break into tech as a career changer? So if you're not in it at all, um, how do you make that move? And, part is, I think if you're in a job, and, and this just my opinion, if you're in a career right now and working in a regular corporate structure, and there is technology department and other places that your department could actually collaborate with or do things with, and you can slowly move over. Also, it's joining stuff outside of the workplace that could bring you closer, or volunteering in a space that you're in where they need some tech advice or something that you can do. But what's your take on folks that kind of just want to switch from A to tech, or F to tech?
yeah, just
Like,
do
how do
it.
you use tech at your, yeah. You
I'm
say
sorry,
jump.
last part.
No, you're saying to jump in.
Jump in. I mean, so many people are doing it. I mean, you have people that have moved from, blogging to, digital marketing, to now being, ambassadors for tech companies for their products and things like that. You have a lot of journalists that are moved into, digital content and writing. Just do it. Again, I think the key is just identifying what it is that you want to do, because tech is so broad. Do you want to code? Do you want to work with the gadgets like the iPads and the mobile devices? Do you want to um,
Mm-hmm.
sell? Do you be a salesperson? Do you want to work physically with your hands? Just pay attention to what skills you have, like I listed earlier, and just see how it can be applied, because tech is everywhere. It's in every company. It's in all of our homes. There's so much that you can already do that can be easily applied. And just take a look. There are developer roles, there are software engineer roles, there are project manager roles. That may be a relatively good way to kind of jump into, like, maybe managing technical projects. What else is there? There's so many ways, but I just say just do it. Identify a job that you want, see what it is that they're looking for, what skills do you need, what skills do you have, and try to either talk with someone at that company, get a certification. But either way, just do it.
See, so kind of dive in, and,
Yep.
And enter from a space where you feel most comfortable, that you once again can kind of use that as your strength and use the technology as your learning curve, correct?
Yep. Yep.
Gotcha. Which is sometimes hard. With all of the businesses that you have now created and opportunities from Hue to Signature Red to the Angel Project, everything you're doing, do you use trademarking? Some folks on the line are interested in, you know, any tips for trademarking when trademarking is different than copywriting and how to do it, so that they don't lose the idea.
I'm a trademarker. I don't even know if you guys can see. I have some of my trademarks on my wall. Like, yeah, I trademark, you know, pretty much everything. Or I start the process at, you know, I'm starting the process with some now. But I mean, you can do it on your own. You can go to the, what is it, the USPTO.gov site, and they'll walk you through the steps. You have to trademark by class. So, for example, someone could have the name kitchen, let's say kitchenwares, right? But they may have only trademarked it in the class that this is a product that can be used for storing food, right? But there might be 10 other classes. Someone could want to trademark kitchenwares as, you know, in a class of, maybe it's not a product, but this is an online platform that does X, Y, and Z. So I think the key is to know which one, have your name, and then what class you want to trademark under. It gets pricey when you try to trademark under multiple classes, but for many companies, it's necessary.
Gotcha.
But yeah, USPTO.gov is the website. And I typically just use the lawyer. I mean, you can walk through. I know people have done it. I just prefer to just pass it on and get it done.
So you've said, so you said some people have done it online, or you can do it on your own, but
yeah, you can do it on your own. I just prefer to just hand it off to someone else to just do it for me. So I've used a lawyer to do it for me.
Gotcha. And then there's another great population on this phone, always, or on these calls, who are in this industry, who are tech folks, but are not particularly right now working in that space professionally, but would love to either give back, mentor, whether younger folks or peers. How do you find organizations like that to donate your time? And it's not like they're going to be recognized. It's not like you're known for doing the tech stuff because that's part of your brand. It's not particularly part of theirs. They might have went to school for it, but they, just like people go to school for law and they just don't practice law, and they do something completely different. And so they're not perceived as a lawyer, but this doesn't mean that they don't have the information. So how does someone in the same sense with a tech background who's not particularly working in it still find an inroad to help others with the skills that they know, even though it's not their career?
Yeah, Google. There's so many organizations looking for women like that to give back. I know of some locally in my area. I don't know if anyone on the line is in Philadelphia, but Google, ask questions. What exactly do you want to do? Are you looking to help? Are you looking to join a board? Are you looking to volunteer, and just assist, as needed? But definitely, Google is the best way to kind of find out which nonprofits are in your area that may be focused on tech, girls in tech. Also, check your local schools. There are always there's so many schools in need of people to kind of come in and assist, maybe for tech hackathon or a career day, and I know that's not the same as volunteering for a nonprofit, but they may be able to also, maybe they have relationships with other nonprofits in the area that you can get plugged into. But definitely Google.
Well, this is a perfect segue to the next question. Technology has hit every sector kind of different, whether or not it's entertainment, construction, corporate. But what's your take on how it's impacting, good, bad, ugly, the nonprofit sector itself? What kind of jobs, are there different jobs in tech for nonprofits? Are they at a different, threshold? there's a lot of folks on our line today who work in nonprofit and are trying to figure out, I mean, we all have to use technology, but within nonprofits, is there like a niche market? Is there something that they all need that if that's where you want to stay sector-wise, you should look into if tech is your goal?
Yeah, I think it's been good overall. I just think it just comes down to what can the nonprofit afford to do. They definitely
budget.
Yeah, it just comes down to the budget because, depending on the services you're providing, you could have a mobile app, you could definitely take advantage of advertising opportunities on social media platforms to get more exposure for your work or your cause, just to drive more traffic to your website. So overall, I think it's good. I think was your question what are some opportunities for the nonprofit, or can you repeat that?
Yeah, but like if things are called different things in different sectors, right? So you could be a director in nonprofit, which might be a VP in corporate, but are there things that the nonprofit sector might be behind in where someone who's trying to break into a tech gig who's in the nonprofit sector can make that transition easier, as part of the learning curve for a nonprofit or multiple, the sector itself? Are there some jobs that seem to be more focused or that they need in the nonprofit sector? Not that they don't need them every place else, but other places, because of their budgets, have them in place already, where someone
Right.
can grow this position. You know what I mean? Like, so it used to be like website management and that kind of stuff, right? Was in the beginning, because a lot of nonprofits, they were some of the last ones to get real pumped up websites, right? So if you could do some website developing in the beginning of the era of tech, that was kind of a good segue for someone who was doing marketing or PR, right? If you could also, right? So now what are some, I mean, it doesn't have to be just nonprofit, but I'm saying, what are some of the easier ways or positions, roles within any business that someone who wants to kind of transition or make a change, whether they're working there now or not, but what kind of job should they be looking at?
Yeah, what just came to mind for the nonprofit space is like database management. In two ways. One, because nonprofits always need to track supporters, and I'm not all that familiar with a lot of the nonprofit space, but just one, tracking supporters, donors, tracking opportunities for partnerships, collaborations, tracking opportunities to get additional funding. So I think any role where you are kind of sourcing information and centralizing it in some sort of database would be an amazing way to kind of get plugged in a technical role with a nonprofit.
Okay. So more analyst tech.
I'm sorry, can you repeat that?
I'm saying, so more on the analyst side, more on understanding and making the translation into, and like what you were doing the other way. You were translating business ideas into tech, where other people can do it the other way. Like there's a tech issue and they can.
Yeah, and I find that yes, any way that you can like pull information together and make it easy for nonprofits to act on the information, I think it's great. And then one thing I realize is that a lot of the best ideas in the tech space are coming from people that are like not technical, because they're thinking from the perspective of how can I make this thing happen quicker? How can I make it simpler? How can I make it, just how can I get to it fast? And that's why a lot of like with mobile app startups and things like that, they tend to be non-technical. They're just paying attention to things we do every day and trying to think of how can I make this more of a process or a system, or make it easy, or make it something I can access from anywhere. So that may be a good way to think about maybe startup space. If you can figure out a way to solve a problem, what's the pain point that you have in your life? Do you wish you could, you know, I don't know, put, we have dishwashers, maybe put the automatically have the sink open and put the dishes in the dishwasher for you. I don't know. I'm just reaching, but just think of things that
Yeah,
you
no,
do
I get it.
every day, and how you can improve it. Because more than likely, if it's a pain point for you, it's a pain point for someone else.
Yeah. No, so, the main question everyone has is, if you did some mapping, because I know you've written some stuff for Forbes, you've done your, all these different articles, but where are women really in tech? Like, what seems to be, bigger buckets? Where do you, I mean, generically in the world, we find more women are social workers, more women are nurses, more so where in tech do we find more women? And then even more specifically, are there any even smaller pockets or even in part of the bigger ones of women of color in tech?
Right. So I find that there are a lot of women in the web development space, like web
Okay.
development, design, and in the project management space.
Okay.
There's definitely a need for more, and I can't emphasize this enough. There's definitely a need for more women that can code, that can build, because there are women that are doing it, and I'll be looking to throw more out, but definitely people that have hardcore coding skills. There's a lot of women entering the tech space from an advocacy perspective. There's conversations about diversity and inclusion, and uh, you know, tech inclusion, etc. There are people that are positioning themselves as advocates and doing talks around it in various ways. So I find in that space of like advocacy, project management, and web design, it's pretty popular.
And do you see a difference between the different generations? So our Zs that are just kind of coming out, the millennials who are just fresh out, and the Xers, the boomers in the tech space. And this is like across the board, not just women, but in general, and then also with women.
So I think so when I got my degree, it wasn't like the year that I graduated, I was like the only Black woman that.
Okay.
So now it's like being I mean, there's still not enough, but when I look at the graduates that are coming out of some of the universities in my area, there's a lot of women coming out with strong coding skills. So I do think that there's a shift happening there. I mean, across the board, I still go back to what I said before. I've seen a lot in the project management space, and that's come from those with technical backgrounds or without. Some were planners, but have managed to move into managing technical projects specifically. Did I answer all your questions?
Oh no, there's more questions. There's lots.
Okay.
But you answered that, yes. I mean, that question, meaning like where people, but then, generically when you came out it was one thing, but I'm saying now in the industry, are there pockets that younger folks seem to be going at women in tech? Are they doing more of the coding? Is it more of the boomers and the Xers who are doing more of the project management and the web development, or is there a,
I think
where are people?
I think the graduates now are doing a lot of the coding, and I think you nailed it with Xers, those on the cusp of the millennial and X being more project managers, and boomers moving into managerial roles, or exiting tech altogether.
Or just, okay, so just not doing it at all.
Yeah.
Okay.
People that are,
And then do you see a difference between women of color and mainstream women in terms of roles that they go after or numbers?
I don't. I know that there's definitely, like movements going on to get more women going after the technical roles, coding roles. I can't provide any specific numbers on that.
Yeah, just me, from an eye look kind of thing. But,
Yeah.
in terms of, right, in terms of, those that want to make a shift and make a change, sometimes it's nice to go where there are a few of you, right? Or, a few others, just for a comfort zone. Like even now I get, I'm always excited if I see a female Uber driver versus a man, right? So it's like these non-traditional places, but I think it speaks back to what you said earlier about sometimes you just need to take a leap of faith and be the only one who graduated, be the only one, and use that to your advantage to bring a few more people with you, right?
Yeah.
And
If I was gonna tell, I think I mentioned this before, but I would definitely tell people to look into cybersecurity. They're just trying to figure out like what's hot, and like I said, maybe where there are a few of us, that's like big. If you really want to know of like what's hot, definitely start looking along that cybersecurity path.
it's hard to hear you. Can you repeat that?
Sure. I said I highly recommend looking into the cybersecurity career path. If
Okay.
someone wants to figure out what's hot, I think there's so much opportunity there. So the pay is excellent. So if someone is just trying to figure out, well, what's hot, what should I get into? I'm definitely advocating for that. I'm looking into it myself, but yeah, I definitely recommend cybersecurity.
Yeah, because there's always the hot jobs, right? Those hot job lists. And in tech, they change so rapidly based on what the industry needs. And tech, unlike a lot of other things, change so quickly that you just have to be ready and able. And I feel there's often a complaint, and what some people have asked about is, they just get this one certification and then that new coding is no longer being used, or, we went from HTML to this, and then we had the Wix website, but now we have Drupal, and we have, the WordPress, and this, and this, and this. So, if you are in the industry, let alone if you're trying to get into it, how do you stay on top of your career? How do you stay cutting edge when everything is cutting edge? So what's your advice is what people are asking, like, so I'm in it or I'm not in it, but once I'm in it, how do I, am I that hamster on that wheel the whole time, all the time, or are there some places that you can actually kind of coast for a minute and enjoy the ride?
Yeah. Unfortunately, that's just the nature of the beast. It's tech, it's innovative, it's always going to change. Even for those of us that have been in the space, it's important for us to keep our skills set up, always learning about what's new, getting certifications, et cetera, because like you said, it's always changing. So, I think the job market drives a lot of it. Now there's a lot happening in the startup space, but then pay attention to what employers are looking for, what roles are they having a hard time filling, and what are the skills needed for that. Anything where you can just continue to um, stay ahead with, just what's the next certification to get. I definitely recommend just continue to do it, continuing to just get certifications, pay attention to the job market,
Right.
and
And for those of you that are, already working someplace and want to make these transitions, and you're in a large company, just see what kind of, other trainings. We used to come into a job, they would give you all these free trainings on Excel and Word. That's all passe, right? You got to come in with that now. So see what they might have. If you're in the banking industry, they might have something on cybersecurity and banking security. Get at it. Take it for free while it's paid, or it's not really free. There's, you're working there, but take advantage. those of you that are still in school, I say take advantage of anything that's being offered in school. There's always some workshop that no one goes to, but that's also how you can find a mentor. And then hold on, and I want to say, you know, you have to go to events like Hugh. So I want to give, you know, Jumoke another plug that if you are, you know, even if you're only in New York and New Jersey and you're listening in, you know, Philly's not that far away, and you can even take a bus for like $5 there. I've done it myself. So there's no excuses, is what I'm trying to say, for you not to be there if this is what you're trying to do. For those of you looking for some mentors, looking for some opportunities, you just never know what's going to happen, but you have to be in it to win it, as they say, you know, for the lottery. This is the tech lottery. So you got to be in the game and keep going on. So this is Women in Tech. And Jumoke, I can't thank you enough. I know you just came back from South by Southwest and you're running around and squeezing us in. But we wanted to bring this topic up during, you know, Women's History Month, because they keep saying we can't find you. And maybe we'll be fortunate enough for you to join us in Columbus, Ohio this August for our National Urban League Conference, since the whole thing is focused on the tech revolution and where we all are standing in more specifically, the African American community, but overall in our society in terms of careers. And I wanted to let everyone know who's listening in now that to stay tuned for April 4th. We're doing it on Money Moves. You know, why do you decide on one career over another? Is it tech? Is it a lawyer? Is it a doctor? Is it a social worker, based on your passion versus your paycheck? Why people make money moves, why you sometimes feel like you need something stable, why Jumoke says take that risk and jump on in. You know, there's different reasons, you know, based on Cardi B for money moves. We all decide to do things in our lives, whether millennial or other, or X, Y, Z, boomer, retired, and maybe you're in a second career. But money moves, it's important to know what you want out of life and how to get it, but to not be burnt out too. So, you know, I think there's some passion you need to find with your paycheck. So I hope you all will come back. For everyone who's been listening in, even if you came in late, this has been recorded, and as usual, we will it will be edited and put up and posted on the National Urban League's YouTube site. And of course, we will be giving a copy to Madam Dada to post on all of her stuff. So please follow her. She has all those brands. I mean, I'm sure she's hiring different things too from different times. So you've now met an employer, a business owner, a consultant who might need some of your skills. So, you know, connect with her also LinkedIn and through her various platforms. So once again, Jumoke, thank you so much for joining us. Thank you, the rest of us. And on behalf of the National Urban League and the Urban League Jobs Network, I want to thank everyone for taking the time out of their day to put their career first for their career success. Have a great rest of your day. For those of you in New York, please be safe out there in the snow. For those of you elsewhere, if it's sunny, don't tell us, and we'll be with you soon. Have a great time. Thank you once again, Jumoke. I'm waving at you and sending you love from this side of the computer. So have a great afternoon. Have a great day. Bye-bye.